Hey everybody, Mike Wardinsky here from naturemike.com, and today I'm going to be unboxing the brand new Canon R5 version 2. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Looks like we've got a camera strap that's a little bit thinner than the previous versions, but seems like it'll do the trick nonetheless. And then we have, it looks like a battery charger, that's important. And lastly, a battery. Now the Canon R5 version 2 has a brand new battery, and it's important to note it's the exact same size as the old batteries, and it will work in an older camera, and older batteries from older cameras will work in the new camera, but some features will not be accessible if you use an older battery in the new R5 version 2 camera. So if you're going to get the camera, keep in mind that you might have to spend a few extra bucks. These things are about $70 to $80 a piece to get a couple extra spare batteries. Okay, so let's see what's underneath the cardboard. We have a warranty card, an instruction manual. So this is a USB-C cable for tethering to the computer. Next we have a cable protector. This will help protect your cables on the side of the camera. And last but not least, we have the new R5 version 2. Let's take a look. Look at that. Beautiful. So this is everything that comes in the box. Some additional accessories that you might consider grabbing are extra batteries. This is the LP-E6P. I'll go ahead and leave a link for this in the description. Another accessory you might consider grabbing is the Canon BRE1. This little remote is a Bluetooth remote. It allows you to trigger the camera remotely, and this is useful if you want to take a selfie, or if you want to take a photo of a landscape while the camera's on a tripod. That'll prevent any sort of vibrations that would happen from touching the camera. Handy little device, it's about 50 bucks, and again, I'll leave a link for this in the description. The camera does not come with any memory cards, so you'll need to purchase some cards in addition to the camera. It has two slots. One is a CF Express card, Type B, and the other is a traditional SD card. Now this camera can record on the UHS Type 2 cards, and I highly recommend getting those over the traditional UHS 1 cards because they have two rows of contacts here, and that will allow you to write faster than a UHS 1 card. If you're going to choose between the CF Express and the SD card, I highly recommend the CF Express card. Get the fastest card you can get, and make sure you get one that has a lot of space. I recommend at least a 256 gigabyte card or more. Okay, so here's the Canon R5 Mark II. Visually, it's very similar to the Mark I. It almost is identical, with the exception of a new photo to video toggle switch. In previous versions, we had to hit the mode button and hit the info button and then toggle between photo and video. This allows you to easily do it with the flick of a switch. The other major difference is we now have a lock button at the top of the camera. So if we go off, lock, and on, this allows us to lock features very quickly. In the previous version, we had a little button at the top that we had to press and hold. So this is a little more intuitive and allows you to see very quickly if you're locked or unlocked. Another new addition to the R5 version 2 is this little hot shoe cap at the very top. This allows you to protect the hot shoe when you're transporting your camera, when it's in storage, or if you're in a wet environment, shooting around the ocean when you're not going to be using a flash. You don't want salt water getting in here, so this new little protector is pretty handy. You just get a little button on top, and then you press that and slide it back on ever so gently. On the side of the camera, we have a USB-C port, a full-size HDMI port, our mic input, headphone output, and flash sync. On their side, we have our memory cards, we have a CF Express slot, and an SD. So now let's talk about some of the major differences between the R5 version 1 and the R5 version 2. The R5 version 2 now has a pre-burst mode, which allows you to record up to a half a second in burst mode before you even hit the shutter speed. This is really useful if you're trying to photograph lightning, wildlife, or anything that moves very quickly and unexpectedly. The R5 also has a faster electronic shutter. While the mechanical shutter still tops out at 8,000th of a second, the electronic shutter tops out at 32,000th of a second. The R5 version 1 shoots 20 frames a second in electronic shutter, while the R5 version 2 can shoot 30 frames per second. Now, if you've ever shot at 20 frames per second, you know that's really fast. So 30th could be really useful if you really need a decisive moment, but you're going to have a lot of sorting on your hands. The R5 version 2 can now focus in lower light. It's rated up to -6 EV, whereas the R5 version 1 was rated up to -4.5 EV. This is useful for folks who might be doing some night shooting or shooting in the late evening or even at indoor events that are relatively dark. When it comes to video, the R5 version 2 can shoot 60 frames per second in 8K footage. The first version could only shoot 30 frames per second in 8K. The R5 version 1 had a 30-minute record time cap on it for video. The new version has no time cap. Now, unfortunately, the Canon R5 Mark II is still a 45 megapixel camera. I would have liked to see them go up to 60 or maybe even higher, but it does have a brand new image sensor and image processor. The Canon R5 version 2 has some brand new autofocus features that I'm really excited to try out. They promise to leave the Canon R5 version 1 in the dust. I'm going to be testing out these features and letting you know what I find out in the next couple of weeks. So now would be a great time to go ahead and hit that like button on this video and go ahead and hit subscribe too, because I've got a lot of great videos coming out about this specific camera. Okay, well that's it. I hope you enjoyed this brief unboxing and overview, and I will see you in the next video.